All right, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Ready Set Crypto. We are Doc and Mav. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of October. Welcome aboard. Let us know where you're coming in from. Do us a favor also when you check in, just go ahead and hit the thumbs up button so we can beat the algorithm, right? So welcome aboard, everybody. Glad to see you out there. We'll be talking today for the next half hour. We'll talk about the state of the markets. We'll talk about stuff that we see going on, and plus we'll take your questions and your technical analysis requests to finish out today's session. How's it going out there, Mav?
It's going good. I think we are well set. I was sort of saying last week during our stream that we might not see this last. It was very early into that move, and now with a little bit of time for it to pull back, mature a little bit, we're seeing Bitcoin break out, go chase some new highs. So it's good times. It's good times. So yeah, we'll get into that very shortly here, but we'll let everyone pile in here first.
All right, we got our first check-in from Thailand. Welcome aboard. Thanks for checking in today. Who else we got out there? Let's see if we can get everybody on board first, and then we'll get things kicked off. All right, we got Rajith checking in. Hey, how we doing out there, Rajith? One of our regulars. It's kind of like, walking into a bar where you know everybody. Something like that. Okay, what else we got? We got Jack coming in from Darwin. And Gozayamu. All right, so Little Rock is checking in with Buckhorn. Thank you for checking in.
That's good morning in Japanese.
Oh, it is. I thought that was like Ohio Gozaimasu or something like that.
Yeah.
What's up from New York, upstate, not the big city? Okay. Hey, yeah, somebody we know was just up in Schenectady, so, and they survived. Hello from
Amazingly.
Luxembourg. And we got Oregon. All right. Gold Coast, wet and watching. All right. Hope you're surviving through your winter down there. Things are turning and burning for you. All right. Checking in. Let us know, guys. Welcome aboard. We are Ready Set Crypto. We are Doc and Mav. Let us know where you're coming in from today. Hit the thumbs up button, and we'll get started here momentarily. Plus, if anybody wants to see any specific TA requests on a specific coin, go ahead and check in. Just check in. Let us know where you're coming in from, and let us know what coin you want to look at.
All right. Awesome. Cool. All right. So let's quickly dive in, talk about some of the news items that's moving stuff right now. I think the big thing that we're seeing today is that the US just overtook China as the main producer of Bitcoin hash rate. So no longer do we have the unknown enigma that is China, being out there sort of as a, specter. It is no longer something that we're relying on. And I think the overall Bitcoin market and the overall Bitcoin mining space is going to be sort of volatile for a little bit. There's definitely a semiconductor shortage in the world right now. Bitcoin mining is continually seen as a quote unquote wasteful thing, especially in face of the marketing power of Ethereum going to their proof of stake system. And you've got up and coming projects like Solana and Avalanche saying, hey, we're just so much more efficient, not as wasteful as that dinosaur Bitcoin over there. But importantly, I think it's showing that Bitcoin went through one of these things that people for years were saying that, oh, this will be the end, of Bitcoin. If China ever cracks down, if they kick out all the miners, well, spoiler alert here, nothing really happened. In fact, it was good for Bitcoin to go through that because now it's more decentralized. Now it's more capable of, a lot of things. So I think that's definitely something positive for the markets right now. Another thing we were talking about last week was the potential, and this was sort of the catalyst for some of these good vibes we're encountering right now in terms of the market. Why the market's going up right now is in some response to a potential speculation on Bitcoin ETF being passed. And since then, we did see a Bitcoin ETF light get approved. And I want to just clear the air real quick in case, that got overblown or something like that. All that really was a, they're just tracking companies that are following Bitcoin. For example, in their perspectives to the ETF, the SEC, they talked about how 25% of the holdings of the ETF are going to be in MicroStrategy and some of these other big minor companies. So it's close. It's the closest thing we've gotten to a Bitcoin ETF, but no cigar, obviously. But where that's heading right now and where maybe we'll be by the end of the month is seeing approval in that. However, is the market ready for that? Is the Bitcoin space ready for that? Who knows? It's just like what we talked about with China. It's like, we won't really know until we know, but I think it's getting closer. I don't know if it's quite ready just yet, but it's not the end all be all thing that it was in August of 2018 when this was, we were reaching a fever pitch about Bitcoin ETFs. Just isn't the thing we're looking for anymore. We're kind of looking more towards the fact that, hey, DeFi, despite being 5% of the overall crypto markets, it just hit 200 billion in terms of lockup, and it's continuing to do really amazing things. NFTs are going ballistic. They, in August and September, were trading massive amounts of market volume. We're literally seeing the overall NFT space doing trading volume of about 40,000% more than the start of the year.
So if you think about the real driver behind the Bitcoin ETF 3 years ago, it was because none of the, I'd say, larger investing mass that's out there really wanted to go through the hassle of picking up BTC through the traditional methods. And now you've got things like Robinhood or just about any of the US brokers. You can walk down the street and you're tripping over brokers that are offering you the ability to very, very easily get into BTC. So one of the big drivers for the ETF was the fact that, we'll just buy the stock instead of going through the coin. Well, now it doesn't really matter. I think most people are, going through a centralized exchange like that, traditional exchange, don't see the resistance to it either.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think some people will comment and say, hey, well, there's Bitcoin ETFs in other countries, or, there's the Bitcoin Trust, the GPTC, that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're very close in terms of offering, in terms of products, whatever. Really, the whole point is accessibility and legitimacy. These are two things that were very much lacking back in 2018. They're still kind of lacking today. And I think that's what we're still looking to get out of something like a Bitcoin ETF being approved. More overall interest and accessibility, making it easier for the retail investor to get on board. Maybe they don't want to hold crypto. Maybe they just want, some sort of a product that follows the Bitcoin market, and they can invest in that from, say, Robinhood. Maybe that's a little bit sacrosanct in this, but where we are right now is just seeing the Bitcoin markets and the crypto markets start to become more and more legitimate, and that's a really good thing. And we're seeing that legitimacy in multiple areas with, multiple different directions. We are getting closer and closer to, sort of that killer app, that like Facebook moment that I think we've been lacking in the space for a long time. That's what we've kind of been waiting for, adoption, this big word about when is adoption going to happen? When are we going to see acceptance in the space? And I think we're quickly solving some of the biggest issues with the space and the technology. Some people are asking about the DOT news, why Polkadot's up, the last time I checked, 22% on the 24-hour chart. And it's in relation to their news about their parachains being released. And that's just kind of more of the same of what we're talking about here in terms of that's enabling scalability from a holistic perspective, the space to, kind of upgrade itself to be more scalable and interoperable, and all the really, challenging things that we've been working for years to overcome starting to come to the forefront. We're starting to see blockchains that are fast and secure and cheap. That trifecta that we've always wanted and haven't been able to get with Ethereum. We're getting there. We're getting so close. And yeah, for Coinbase NFTs just announced, we're going to see pretty much, I'm sure, all of the major exchanges out there start to pursue NFTs in some form. In the same token that we see, BlockFi just filed for a Bitcoin ETF. This is what we're talking about. This is, sort of the financialization of the space, the open accessibility, the open financial space. We're starting to see the confluence of factors that help push this forward in the right direction. So yeah, just, is it any one thing that's going to push us over the edge, get us over that 64,000 or so all-time high bump? I think it's just a lot of things. I think Bitcoin's price is cheap to where it could be, especially a couple of years from now. I think over the course of this decade, we're going to continue to see crypto be more and more relevant, especially in the larger macro context. And yeah, I think there's a lot of reason to first off be stacking sats, but secondly, to be looking towards alternative assets in the crypto space that you could start to hedge against. Certainly, as we've talked about multiple times this year, going into smart contract platforms is a really smart move. All the Ethereum competitors, such as Polkadot, such as Solana, such as Matic and Avalanche and Cardano, even Hedera Hashgraph, which I wrote off for a long time, it's starting to come back. And yeah, that's kind of what we want to see. In the same token, we also are seeing the DeFi space start to, it's a little flat right now, but that's okay. I think it's not imploding or anything like that. It's just going through a market correction. And I think in time it will shine again. But right now, NFTs are the hot thing because they're going, as we've talked about, from just being about art and collectibles to things like gaming NFTs. For those who are on our Omnia newsletter, I wrote about on Monday this week, the IGO is as a new sort of offering model, the initial game offering for you to have a chance to be in on these gaming NFT platforms or individual games, projects, and to basically kickstart that. And I think that's awesome. I think there's so much that can be done with the NFT plus gaming sort of paradigm, and I think we're just scratching the surface of it. Coinbase also put out a couple of days ago, NFTs from like a venture capital perspective, and they basically talked about how it's one of the hottest, most promising areas that a VC could be looking at right now because there's just so many opportunities popping up like weeds. So it's just very exciting to see that from like a grassroots perspective, as well as sort of a top-down perspective when we're talking about regulation and institutional, investment in the space. So that's all to say that I think it's time to look at the markets. I think it's time to look at the charts and see where we're going from here. Is this the right time to be looking, for Bitcoin chasing a new all-time high, or maybe this recent pullback and, it recovered, but is that a sign that we need to maybe, pump the brakes a little bit? I like to talk about how I like to buy whenever Jamie Dimon calls Bitcoin trash, and he just did.
We're going to get ourselves a Hall of Fame haters board. Yeah. I mean, it's like Jamie Dimon's going to be right up there at the top. Who else we got on that list? I mean, could go hundreds.
Yeah. But and anytime we see Bitcoin ETF euphoria hitting an all-time high, that's when I usually like to sell. So we kind of like both of those kind of rocking a hard place, unstoppable force, immovable object. But Doc, what are you seeing from the charts perspective? Where do you think things are going from here?
All right. Well, funny you should mention that. All right, let's take a look here and see what we got. Okay, so BTC versus the US dollar, there's a couple of ways I want to look at this. First of all, we've got trend from a much larger perspective. We can even go out to the log chart here, which is useful as really a true north. Our North Star is the log chart on the monthly chart. Okay, from there, we can go down to the weekly chart and say what's going on. We now have a confirmed uptrend. with the price over the last week going above this pivot high from early September. So that's all good, right? So how can we use some different techniques in charting to let us understand what's going on? Well, let's go down to the daily chart. And what we're seeing right now is, let's look at this a couple of different ways. First of all, what I want to bring up is volume profile. Volume profile shows you how much trading is done at a certain price level. And so what we want to do is we want to look for these things, these histograms, which are called high volume nodes. And it's almost a mean distribution of the price trading. Well, it's at the actual volume trading at that price. What tends to happen with this is price tends to run in between these high volume nodes. So it tends to just bolt from one to the other, almost like a playground bars. So I would expect this to kind of stay at this area. This is kind of a little bit of a home base. But what you'll see is that once we get above there, there really is very little volume above this. So I don't see a whole lot of resistance. I don't see like a whole lot of sell wall just sitting up there waiting to take profits on this. So once we get going, it might get going very quickly. But for right now, this is where we go into different analysis, such as if we go into the fractals on this right now. Range expansion goes to range contraction. This is working perfectly. This is also what I call a high and tight consolidation up in this area, which is fabulous. And so this is going to be, now who says that word anyway? Fabulous. Anyway, I do. So this is a great little consolidation. I'd say within about a week, this will be ready to go. So this is a good little pause up in this area between 54 to 58. And we need that. We need that because what we have is we look at the other charts and we see there's plenty of energy to power this thing, especially the monthly chart. So once this gets going, this could get going in a big manner. Now, what we're also seeing is the same pattern that we see in a lot of other coins recently has been the sort of this rounded basing pattern or a cup with handle, either way that you want to call it. And what we can do is we can sort of extrapolate the depth of this cup. So this goes, let's just say roughly this goes from 60 down to 30. I know I'm kind of rounding things off here, but what we can do is we can extrapolate to the upside here, that same distance, the same distance that's right there. So this points to about 90,000 if we get that breakout. And we had something recently where we showed the same kind of breakout with Ethereum, which was this kind of cup pattern here. And so we did the same extrapolation with Ethereum, and it more than, I mean, it blew away the target here. So this is a very real pattern. And so we're seeing that with Bitcoin now. I think we're going to get maybe a few weeks of consolidation up near the highs, and then this thing is going to more than likely take off. That's what we're seeing right now. Okay, so let's go over to a couple of other coins based on your requests. Be happy to do that. Let's just kind of pull things in here. So one of the first that we got here was Polkadot. So Polkadot is showing the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of basing pattern here. We're breaking out of a shorter term consolidation, breaking out to the upside. Fortunately, there is some energy here to power this. There's still energy to power this up near the recent highs, but more than likely what we're going to see is this thing, once it gets up to this area, it's probably going to consolidate up in the upper 40s and set up. And you can do the same extrapolation here with this, the depth of this pattern from 10 all the way up to 50. So this points to about a $90 price target for Polkadot eventually, which is nice. Okay, so let's look at, I think there was a request for Luna here. Okay, we'll do Luna versus Tether. Okay, Luna versus Tether. This is kind of a sloppy chart, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just kind of sloppy. So as it goes higher, it's sort of consolidating as it's rising. And that's okay as long as it stays like this on the weekly chart, as long as the weekly chart shows some kind of order. But my concern here is that markets which are about to correct will typically get very noisy before they start to correct. So I would watch this one carefully for any signs of correction down the road. Okay, next one that we have up here is, let's see, I think somebody wrote in asking for Gala versus the US dollar, and this one's not looking good. I mean, there's an initial bump here. This one's fairly new. You can see this one's fairly new. It's consolidating the initial. It's tough to get a read off of this one because right now this is just in a big box consolidation. And so there's really nothing we can learn from this other than boxing in this area and buying anything above 0.125. Or you can buy down here at the bottom of the range and see if you can take it up to the top of the range. Next one that we have is COTI. COTI. Okay, almost the same exact pattern that we're seeing. Almost the same exact pattern. This is more of this does have an established trend. So this is a sloppy kind of consolidation pattern here at some point. And we can throw on the fractals here to evaluate. So we're seeing a lot of energy on the daily chart. There is coming out of exhaustion on the weekly chart. So what this tells me is that we would anticipate seeing a few more weeks of consolidation before this thing is ready to break again. All right. Next one that we have on is Sheba. Let's see. I've already got this on here. There's Sheba. Okay. So this one has been a monster lately and is consolidating as it's rising. So that's a very strong signal. We had a super exhaustion signal. So we had 3 days where it literally went up. I don't know how many times there, but it's recovering very nicely. So I do like this one for further gains down the road once it's gotten a chance to catch its breath. Next one that we have here is Track. And we're going to have to keep things pretty tight tonight. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go long because we have some commitments. Okay, Track is very sloppy. This one's a real grinder. I think we talked about this one last week. If you're holding this one, you're going to have to be extremely patient because the initial move on this thing was really good and strong. It's just gotten very sloppy since that point. So that's Origin Trail. And then lastly, Vechain. Vechain is actually, oh, that's Vermilion Energy. That's not Vechain. Hold on a second here. Okay, so actually I like the chart on Vermilion Energy better. This one, Vechain just can't get out of its own way right now. So it's the same problem that we have with a lot of coins where they're just not memeable at this point, and they're trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And so it's just a big, huge consolidation. So that's a massive consolidation, like at a monthly chart. That's about ready to go. Weekly chart, probably the same thing here. Yep, a lot of energy here. So Vechain, ready to go, nowhere to go. Watch for the trend lines to break on this one. You're going to have to be patient or look to accumulate down near the bottoms. Okay. All right. Let's bring it back. Bring it back. So let's wrap things up here today. So, very positive. We have the market leader. What I'm a little surprised by though, is that, watch Ethereum. Ethereum has not been as strong as I've expected it to be. So even though it could use another couple of weeks of rest or so, it's not been keeping up with the big brother. So I don't know if that's because other platforms like Polkadot are taking over, but watch that carefully. So if you're just a number one and number two maximalist, which is mostly what I've been over the last few years, watch that carefully because things may change.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a absolute carnage fight in the 5 through 10 spot between XRP and Polkadot and Solana, Sheba and Dogecoin, Terra. All of these are going to be vying for that sort of spot. But for right now, Ethereum is showing weakness from a fundamentals perspective. And where the competitors are making up a lot of ground is in terms of they're able to say, hey, we're faster, we're cheaper. We're raising all this capital to help you launch your DeFi or NFT platform. There is a lot of reasons if you're a developer, aspiring project to look towards other spots to go right now. I think there's, we haven't seen, unfortunately, the sort of positive effects of EIP 1559 from a couple months ago that I guess were kind of promised. And we really need to await the full transition to Ethereum 2.0 over the next year. It's going to take a while for that to play out. So in the meantime, watch for Ethereum's competitors to really make up some ground, really be competitive, and really stand out. And in the same token, pun intended, I suppose, look for NFTs to really start shining. I think once Bitcoin kind of carries the flag and gets the market moving in the right direction, that's when we see a flight towards altcoins, and especially those projects that are either of quality or indicative of the next big trend. And I think that's where we're going to see kind of a confluence of NFT platforms, some of the better positioned DeFi platforms, and just whoever is offering the best platform to develop on right now is going to be in a very good position. So needless to say, it's going to be a very exciting end of the year, I believe, in the crypto space. I think there's a lot of reasons to be very excited to be looking at this versus maybe the equities. No offense, stock, but I think there's a lot of interesting, very exciting things happening right now that you might not see in other markets. So crypto is hot again. It's fun. Let's see if this move can sustain itself, and maybe we'll see some Bitcoin all-time highs here pretty soon here. But until then, until next week, we'll keep watching the charts. And if you want to follow us and join the discussion, as always, our Discord link is down below, as well as the links to our other communities, such as ReadySetTrade, which Doc runs, teaches you how to trade more effectively and trade the equities markets, and how to use risk-aversive, capital-preserving type of strategies and methods. And I think we have a pretty killer win rate to exemplify that. But otherwise, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're going to cut it nice and we're almost at 30 minutes here, but I think it's time to move along and start looking at the markets again. But until we see you guys next week, have a good one. Take care out there. Stay safe, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, cheers, everybody, guys. Be good. Thanks for checking in this week, and we will catch you next week. So adios, folks. Bye now.
Cheers.